your wealth, you have to invest in the trend of the future. And the trend of the future is
Welcome to episode 3 of our Modern Wealth podcast. Today you have a very inspiring guest who will blow your minds away. This is one of the OGs in the forex market, a venture capitalist in the crypto market as well. He's a friend of mine for many years. I've known him for more than a decade now actually already, right? So let's invite our very special guest, Kishor. Thank you very much for coming, bro.
Thanks, Raj. Thanks for having me here.
Yes. Dude, if you can just introduce yourself, what you do currently right now, and what's your your line of work. If you can share that, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, this new venture of yours is very exciting to me. I'm actually looking forward to this new idea of yours, and so happy that you've invited me, Raj, for sharing. And I'll see to it that whatever can benefit the community, which has always been your goal and objective. And I love to be part of your mission and vision. So thank you for making me part of it.
Awesome.
So just a quick background of myself, Resh. I actually started my career as an OTC broker.
Okay.
And then I moved to Silicon Valley to work for a B2B marketplace.
Okay.
This is way before the dot-com crash.
Wow.
And then I was in Silicon Valley for almost 2 years. Post Silicon Valley, they posted me in Singapore. And then, unfortunately, the dot-com crash happened.
Wow.
So I stayed back in Singapore. And then in Singapore, I started my own hedge fund. I ran it for almost a decade. And then I was bitten by the Bitcoin bug.
Wow. Because
I was in the financial field. So back then, all my financial friends were talking about Bitcoin. And I'm like, what's this Bitcoin? I was anyways doing derivatives. So I was a derivative hedge fund manager. So I was I would say at the extreme end of leverage finance, let's call it, or leverage wealth, right?
Yes.
And now you're doing that, correct?
Yep.
So you're very familiar with it. And then I decided to do a deep dive. So I went to Europe, Estonia, and I actually got a license to run an exchange. And then unfortunately, two things happened. Bitcoin crashed from 20,000 all the way to 3,000. And Estonian laws changed for regulators who are having regulated license to run an exchange. So obviously I could not stay back in Estonia because there was no requirement to stay back in Estonia. So I came back to Singapore and I joined a company called Propelled, which was one of the only companies back in 2019 to get an in-principle license from MAS to run a crypto custody service. So I was with Propine, and then soon I came across this company called Playamon, which was into NFT metaverse gaming.
Okay.
And I was very intrigued. What is this metaverse? What is this NFT? But I decided to kind of jump in. I joined them as their growth officer, chief growth officer. And I was amazed. I was the only guy who was in the 50s, and all the entire team was in their 25. So they were like half my age.
Wow.
And they were super smart, super knowledgeable, and they were so good in technology that even though I come from Silicon Valley and none of them went to Silicon Valley, I felt like I'm already out of place. So I decided this is the space I want to be in, because the kind of wealth I saw in that project, where we got listed on Gate and MXC, and it went up 10x, which means whoever had invested let's say $1,000 suddenly became $10,000, right? And that was a turning point for me to look at startups as a wealth creation means of apart from trading, which was my forte, right? And then I decided to start my own VC. So since then, I've been funding startups and never looked back, Resh, to be honest with you. I like the passive style now more than the active. Although the active style is important because you don't tend to get lazy.
Sure.
But the passive style, the difference between the passive style, what I'm doing right now is I get to meet a lot of founders.
Okay.
And I talk to them on a daily basis.
Yep.
And so I'm very much up to date, I would say, with the latest technology in Web3, not so much in Web2. So did that for a year, and then this year we also launched a company called MadForNFTs, where we specialized in NFTs, and we help companies who are looking to basically launch the NFT collection. So we do end to end, right from their the development of their NFT, which is basically the creative side of it, as well as the selling, which is marketing and selling out the collection.
Okay.
So that's pretty much been my journey, Resh. And then I guess every day it's a new thing. Today you think you know everything, then tomorrow you wake up and suddenly you find now you have ordinals, something completely new.
Yep.
Right? So, and you are also, I'm sure, sailing in the same boat, right? Every day it's something new. So this space is something that I wake up and I know I'll be surprised. That's what I like about this space.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The crypto space. Kishor, can you roll us back in time? Okay, roll us back in time. Maybe the 20-year-old Kishor. Okay. Maybe you were you thinking about, how do I make my first pot of gold?
Yes.
Was that who were you as that young boy, young man, and what were the first steps that got you to that first pot of gold?
Resh, I'll be super, super, super honest with you.
Yeah.
My goal was not that first pot of gold.
No, it wasn't.
My goal was how I can land up in Silicon Valley.
That was the goal.
That was my pot of gold.
Okay.
If I can land up in Silicon Valley,
Okay.
I think a lot of doors will open up for me.
Which year? What
So
year
this
are you
was,
talking about?
I finished my MBA and I started working for an OTC broking
So
company.
that was your first job.
That was my first job.
Okay.
This was in India, actually. In India, back then, there were only 2 exchanges. This was the third exchange, was the OTC exchange. And very few broking houses were given license for this, and we were one of them. So, and I actually sat for the exam to get the license.
Okay.
So we were very excited, but unfortunately, OTC means primarily supporting projects which have zero history.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So it's like the startup scene,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
So you're allowing a startup to list. So what happens is a lot of startups had this amazing idea, but were not able to execute. So a lot of OTC projects, they failed. So they collected a lot of money, they did a lot of hype, but they were not able to deliver.
Okay.
So the OTC exchange closed down.
Okay.
So I decided, you know what, I need to, my next goal, stepping stone has to be
Silicon Valley.
the
America.
next level up, which
Okay.
is Silicon Valley.
America. That was the
America,
dream.
that was
Okay.
my goal. And let me tell you something, Resh. You have to see yourself there even before you go there. In other words, I literally manifested myself working in Silicon Valley
Okay.
without having any appointment, job offers, even without having an air ticket.
Wow.
Yeah, I just said to myself, within the next 3 months, I'll be having a job in Silicon Valley without having any. I don't even have a friend to tell me that, okay, this friend will kind of no. So once I made that declaration, the universe aligns. And this is something which I wanted to kind of, I don't usually talk about this, but I just want to share with the viewers that, guys, anything you do in life, it's not so much about what you wish, it's more so about what you believe. And that was a turning point in my life. And there are a lot of more instances which I think I've also shared during your event in Bali, where I lost all my documents, right?
Yeah.
And how I just found it, right? It's all about the belief that I will get it back again. So this is something which I want everyone to understand, that we don't achieve what we achieve is because our belief is it's not going to happen, but our desire is we want it.
So your beliefs need to be aligned with your desire.
Correct, 100%.
And your beliefs need to be aligned first.
Your belief is more important than your desire.
Very, very nice, man. I completely agree with that. Right? You gotta, faith is believing in the things unseen.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Things unseen, and that's how it comes to pass. Beautiful, man.
Exactly.
So Silicon Valley, and that's where you said, you wanted to look for opportunities, and you know that if you went to Silicon Valley, doors will open, opportunities will come about. What were some of the initial few opportunities that opened up for you when you went to Silicon Valley?
So very interesting. I landed in Silicon Valley, guys, and back then there was this summit in US, which was only for the Silicon Valley guys. It was called the Silicon Valley Tech Summit, and it was mainly for VCs and for tech guys. So VCs and projects. Sorry, these three. So VCs wanted to fund tech projects, and tech projects wanted good tech guys.
Of course.
So that was the kind of whole idea for that. So I went to that summit, and I met every single project, every single VC who I could possibly, and just said I'm landed here and I want to get a job. I was very good in finance, and I was a C programming language gold medalist. So I said, you know what, doesn't matter whichever way, I will land up a job in either, and I got a job in both. So I got a job in a tech company, and I also got a job in a VC. But eventually, I went and joined a tech company rather than a VC.
VC, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you already had that skill sets
Yes.
in place, right? So
Yes.
you were a C programming gold medalist as well,
Yes.
right? So that was the skill sets you took so that you could succeed, even if you're in Silicon Valley or whatever
Yes.
not. Okay, interesting.
And to make sure I can get into a VC, I completed my MBA in finance. So
Wow.
that way, at least I have both.
Okay. So you were educated, right? You had the MBA.
I had the bare minimum requirement. Let's put it this way.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was cool. So you had that prerequisites. I always talk about having that high income skill sets, right? The high income skill set. So no matter where you go, whether it's a company, whether it's a business that you start, you need to have that base skill sets that you can bring value, right?
Yeah.
So again, when you can bring value to the table, when you can bring value to a company, that's how you get hired. That's how you get paid big bucks as well.
True.
Right. So that's how you build your initial capital.
True.
Right.
True.
And then again, knowing programming and then understanding trading is a different thing altogether.
Yep.
You can be a really smart guy with double PhDs,
Yeah.
but you can completely flop in trading.
Yes, 100%.
How did you make the transition to, hey man, I want to discover and learn about trading, and how did you become a master at trading, right? So again, Kishor is one of the foremost experts, in trading as well, right? One of the earliest guys who pioneered, forex in Singapore,
Yes.
right? So share with us about that and that journey for you.
Absolutely, Resh. So in America back then when I was working, there were a lot of seminars going around,
Yep.
right? So I attended one of the seminars, and this seminar was on options. And this was conducted back then by the founder of Thinkorswim.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I met up, and the seminar was about Thinkorswim, like how to use the platform and why you should use Thinkorswim. And I'm hearing options for the first time, because that time options in 1998 was, I guess, only available in America and Korea.
Wow, very new, man.
Very new, right? So I said, hang on, I need to first learn the instrument before I can trade them, right?
Yep.
So what I did is I enrolled at Berkeley
Okay.
for a program on derivatives.
Okay.
So every week after my work, I would drive from Silicon Valley, which is Sunnyvale, where my office, all the way to San Francisco.
Okay.
So I did this every week for almost 3 months. Now the best part is the guy who was teaching me at Berkeley was not a academic teacher. He was actually a CBOE flow trader.
Oh, wow.
So back then it was all about flow trading. It was not electronic. Thinkorswim and Option Express was one of the very early online broking houses, right? So this guy literally taught me the ins and outs, and that was a complete mind shift he did for me. And he told me that you can't be trading just equity. You have to be extremely good in trading. The best thing is to do options. And then he taught options, not just to me. It was a very small class, but I was very fortunate that a practical guy was there, and this guy taught me the ins and out. And my job was such that after, like, Silicon Valley is like, as long as you do your job, you have all the time to do whatever you want to do. So I used to be trading options half the time, and I used to do my job half the time. And I just started to see the money from my options trading eventually became more than my job income.
Wow.
And again, thanks to this guy. Not that I developed something on my own.
Sure.
And I just didn't leave it thereafter. So when I lost my job in the US and I came to Singapore, which I already shared with you, I started sharing options first with guys.
Interesting.
And then a lot of people learn options through us, through my strategies. And then subsequent to that, I moved to Forex. So all the people know me more of a Forex guy, but I started off as options.
Wow, interesting. Wow. So that was the whole story. Talking about 2004, 2005.
Correct.
That's what you're talking about in terms of timeline.
Correct.
Because I got to know you first in 2010-ish, 10, 11 or whatever not, right?
Yes.
With regards to Forex.
Yes.
So that was incredible. So Kishor, I want to ask you a question, right? So you shared your journey, Silicon Valley, getting a different job, moving back to Singapore and everything, right? So let's talk about something that maybe people in the audience or nobody knows about, right? Let's talk about some of your lowest points, right? Like where the world goes crashing down, where you've lost everything. And it can be in finance, it can be in anything else, right? But what's one story that hardly anybody knows about where you literally hit your rock bottom and you're thinking, how do I get up now?
This has got nothing to do with money.
Great.
This has got to do more with my personal life.
Tell me.
Which I don't share much, but since you're asking, it's more about how your marriage doesn't work, and when you love your children so much, and how a divorce can separate a father from the child.
Wow.
Right? So that was the most, I would say, worst part of my life. Right? People talk about the money more, but I think that when families break, the pain is more because you tend to lose the people that you love the most. And for me, my kids was my treasure. So I would say that was the worst part of my entire life.
What were some of the, I always believe that in lessons that we get from the lowest points as well, right? During this very, very difficult phase, what were some very important lessons that you really take away, which you will tell any guy who's looking to get married, right? Like, dude.
This is not a married webinar, sorry guys. I kind of little bit
it's okay. I think it's very
steered away.
interesting.
But the important lesson is it can affect your finance if you're talking from a monetary point of view.
Sure.
So that part one has to be very careful when relationships don't work, when marriages don't work. But more important, I believe that sometimes I feel that we are not writing our own story. The story is already written. We're just playing an act. We're the actors. So when I was down and I thought I'd lost all my kids because of the broken marriage, I eventually got married again. So now I have a second marriage, and now I have a kid. And now I get the same love from my kid. So sometimes, that time I thought I lost it all, because when you lose your child, you lose everything, right? And then somehow the universe refills your cup. So, guys, have faith in the superpower, or you may want to call it God, you may want to call it superpower, you may call it universe. Sometimes we feel we are at fault, but there are many times we have no control over many things. And the universe has a better plan for us. If you have that kind of an attitude, in everything, in your job. Let's say you lost your job because your boss fires you for no reason of yours. You have a better job coming. Or maybe it's time for you to start your own business. Right? If you fail in one business, guess what? The universe has a better plan for you. Right? When you lose friends, guess what? You end up getting new friends like Resh. So I have started to look at life like this. Whenever no comes to me, I know that there's a reason universe doesn't want me to have it, because they have something better for me. So that's how I have overcome all my past failures.
Beautiful, man. So I do thank you so much for sharing that part, right? No, because again, you can have money really working for you.
Yes.
But if you come back to, a home that is empty,
Yes.
what joy is there?
No joy.
Right? There's no joy, right?
Zero.
You need to have all these different parts working,
Yes.
right? And there's lessons to be learned from that as well. So thank you so much for sharing them. I really, really appreciate it, right?
Yeah.
So dude, when we're talking about money, right, and we're talking about your journey as an OTC broker, all the way through, right? There's a lot of success, right? A lot of success. Options wise was fantastic. Forex wise, it worked. Right now in crypto, you started in Bitcoin early, and now you're a crypto VC and everything. What are some characteristics of a money master, right?
Maybe I'll share from a VC point of view.
Let's go.
Yeah. You see, guys, if you look at the Web 2 space, which is where I came from in Silicon Valley, it was all about the product. But if you look at Web 3 right now, it's all about community. You could have the best of best product, but if nobody's making noise, guess what? It means nobody wants your product. Right? So things have changed. Now community can decide whether they want to basically support or they want to just pull the legs of the project.
Yep.
So the good thing is today, the Gen Zs have a very high say in a VC to decide. All the top VCs are looking at, okay, fair enough, the 15 to 25 year bracket are going to be making decisions in the next 10 years, correct?
Yep.
Why? Because they'll be earning the maximum amount of money, correct? So if the project caters to this age group between 15 to 25, and if this age group becomes a sticky, that means, for example, McDonald's, right? If I grow up eating McDonald's, there's a very high chance when I become a father, I will take my kid to McDonald's because I grew up eating McDonald's.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Yep.
So what VCs are looking at is, if they can get a project which is catering to this segment, the community, then they know that this project has at least a 10-year runway before maybe it has to pivot and do something else. So in a nutshell, VCs are looking at this age segment. If projects can cater to this age segment, of course you can talk about hardcore engineering stuff like layer 1 technology, but honestly, who really goes behind the hood and tries to understand Bitcoin, tries to understand Ethereum? We are understanding more of the apps which are on that particular layer, correct?
Yep.
So majority of the VCs is looking at this. So if you find projects which are catering to this segment, just bet on it.
Interesting. So Kishor, thank you for sharing that, right? So, okay, let's give some practical stuff, right? So today you're a VC. Again, you do require a level of capital to be a VC as well, right? Either through your own funds or through your own public, as in through gathered funds or whatever not. But for somebody out there who's watching this and thinking, how do I get started? So what should I be doing, right? Talking about crypto, forex, options, investing in early startup projects, but I only have $5,000, right? What do I do? What do I start? What would you suggest will be the starting point for somebody starting out?
Sure. So I think one of the wonderful things that you're doing is you are helping a lot of guys to get started, right? Whether it's trading or whether it is investing in certain coins, right? But the VC game is slightly different,
Yep.
right? In the VC, unfortunately, the minimum cap is 100K.
Yep.
Minimum, like that's like the
Base.
bare minimum,
Yep.
right? And a lot of individuals may not have that kind of capital, correct?
Absolutely, yep.
But there's a way around it. The way around it is you either join a community VC. For example, we are a community VC, which means good projects come to us and they say, you know what, minimum is 100K, then only we will basically give you our
Tokens.
whatever, our project, let's put it this way, right? And then we say, okay, fair enough. Then our community can then put a small amount of capital, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, depending on their capacity, correct? And that is how they are able to come into this so-called, get access to these kind of projects. That's one way, okay? Another way is, guys, is you can participate in IDOs. So what is IDO is, these are projects on launch pads. These are crypto launch pads, and there are some very good or well-known names like Engine Starter, DAO Maker, right? You can participate on their launch pads where they allow retail investors to come in. And it could be as little as $1,000. But if you want to get, let's say, a larger stake, then you need to stake their tokens. I don't want to get into technicals of it, but essentially what they're saying is, you need to invest more to get more. Let's put it this way.
Yep.
Right? That's the second way. The third way is, exchanges have something called as IEO. So IDO is on launch pads. So first it's IDO, then it gets listed on the exchange. Some projects, they don't go for IDOs. They straightway go for IEO. So you can go directly to an exchange. Let's say an exchange like Binance, Bybit, right? So they will give you allocation provided you are their user, right? So you have traded on the platform for, let's say, X number of days. Then they say, okay, you know what, we're going to reward you. So that's another way. Another way right now, which is very, very popular, is something called as airdrops. So what is airdrops? Airdrops simply means that they will drop you, that means they will give you something for free, but the word free is not free in the literal sense. You need to do certain tasks. So what are these tasks? These tasks are, for example, you need to come and join their Discord group. You need to join the Telegram group. You need to comment, participate. You need to do some transactions. So let's say if it's a layer 2 project, right? They want to make sure that there's transactions happening. So if you do some transactions and if you show them that, hey, I did a few transactions, they will give you some airdrops, which means you can get anywhere between $100 to even up to $1,000 of airdrops. Now, the good thing about these projects is if they do well, they can go anywhere between 10x to 100x. So what happens is, let's say you get $100 airdrops, which is free, right? You haven't paid for it. Now that becomes 100x. Imagine that $100 becomes $10,000. So that becomes your starting capital. So guys, don't lose heart that I don't have a lot of capital. Like what Resh said, work on your skill set, because even Warren Buffett manages funds. Although he has his own personal wealth, which is in billions, but if you go back in history and look at how he became Warren Buffett, is because he knew how to grow people's money. And that's when people said, hey, Warren, why don't you manage my money? So if you develop a skill set, whether it's a trading skill set, whether it's an investing skill set, whether it is a airdrop skill set, whether it is managing a Discord, you know, some people just manage Discord and Telegram groups and they get airdrops from the projects, yeah, or NFTs from the projects.
Thank you so much for watching the episode so far with Kishor. I'm sure you have gained a lot of insights and a lot of wisdom from Kishor as well, right? Make sure you like this video, comment down below with regards to what was your greatest lessons that you got from Kishor so far, and make sure you click on the subscribe button for more videos like this.
Once I started the VC journey and I started investing in startups, what I realized was these guys are so passionate about their projects. They're so passionate about what they're doing that they will go to any extent to make that project successful. Not everyone is like this, but if you find the right one, they will do anything to get the right names on the cap table. So what is the meaning of that? What it means is, guys, any project, like for example, you talk of Coinbase, right? So Coinbase did a 500x return for the investors. So all the big names were on Coinbase, right? So you take any good projects, if there are good VCs on the cap table, which means cap table is essentially who are the investors, that project is going to fly, right? So if you are part of that cap table, that is your safety net. You can never say how the project will execute. But if you look at who are the launch pads, who are the exchanges, what's the cap table, these three things you look at, the rest, even if you get it wrong, you will still get a 10x return.
Wow, interesting. Practically, let's say somebody has money. How do they start this journey of being a VC? Or how do you become a VC?
Actually, VC is a fancy name, Suresh,
Sure.
to be very honest.
Sure.
What I'm trying to say is becoming an angel investor, right? So, investor is most of the time we are thinking of buying in the secondary market, like you actually buy Apple stocks, you buy Google, right? That's called secondary investment, right? Angel investor or VCs, essentially they invest in startups which have not yet listed themselves, correct? Now, why is there a higher return? Is because there's a higher risk, correct?
Definitely.
Majority of these projects can't make it, correct? So if you are, let's say you join big boys, right? And that goes with trading also, right? So if let's say all the institutions are betting on Apple to go up, there's a very high chance Apple will go up because all the big boys are betting it, right?
Yep.
So it's the same concept over here. If all the big boys are on the cap table, you pretty much know that these guys will not let it, fall. And that's the whole point. What people make mistakes is they hear the concept of startups and they start betting any startup founder just because it's an idea. But they don't find out who else is backing the project. So don't be the first backer. Be the last backer.
Okay.
When you're the last backer, you may get the worst deal.
Okay.
But according to me, it's the best deal.
Okay, interesting.
Because you are firing by using the shoulder of the big boys.
Interesting.
Yes, that's the key.
Okay, wow. So many insights, guys. All right, so Kishor, so I want to ask you a few more questions, right? So number one, for the layman who is listening to this, right? A lot of insightful information, but for the layman who's starting out, right? Like, how do they maybe come and join a community-based VC, for example? How do they get access to, opportunities that comes to your table?
So, Resh, we do run webinars where they can come and join, and we also have it on our website where they can come. We have an academy. They can click on it. They can register. We have like a monthly, at least once a month webinar where they can join and they can learn. And we bring them projects. So the unique thing about us is we get the founders of the projects to talk about the project. We don't talk about the project because we want our community to hear it from the horse's mouth. And if they love what they hear and if they want to be part of that journey with that project, then by all means they can contribute to that project.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's amazing, right? So a lot of my own followers are part of that as well, which is amazing, right? So the next question I want to ask you is this, right? So, and this will wrap up everything very, very beautifully.
Sure.
what are some of the things that people really should do or should be really focusing on to build generational wealth?
Good question, Resh. Um, if you go back in time and if you really see how was generation wealth created, you have to understand that there is a time for everything. For example, in between 2005 and 2010, if you had invested in energy stocks, if you had invested in engineering stocks, your wealth would have gone up easily 10x, easily, in that 5 years period. If you invested in between 2015 to 2020 in technology and in finance, your money would have gone up easily again 10 to 100x.
Absolutely.
Now, why I'm saying this is because if you had invested in energy and engineering in 2015 to 2020,
Nothing.
you would have not even beaten inflation. Correct?
Absolutely.
So, people don't understand that there is a time for everything. So, if right now the time is Web3, if the time is AI, if the time is digital assets, then that's where your money should be. You cannot say, I don't understand. I'm not asking you to start a AI company, right? How many people understand how to develop websites, but they still have a website? How many people understand social media, but they still have a Facebook page for their business? They even have a Facebook page for themselves, correct? So guys, as long as, so think of it like this, as long as people are using Facebook for their business, for their personal, Facebook will make money because of ads.
Yep.
So will Google, correct? So you don't have to understand the technology. You just have to understand how many people are using ChatGPT. So the number of millions of people that have started to use ChatGPT, which is AI, was created within a year. What took Facebook 10 years to get that many subscribers, or Google to get, YouTube to get that many subscribers.
Yep.
ChatGPT were able to do it within a year's time. So what does that mean? That simply means that AI is the trend. AI is the future. If you get this, guys, and you put your money there, your money will grow. Now, I'm not saying put all your money there. No. You have to have some money kept aside for your immediate needs, right? You have to, at any time, you have to go and pay your school fees of your children, for household stuff, yes. But then, when it comes to growing your wealth, you have to invest in the trend of the future. And the trend of the future is Web3, AI, digital assets.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, man. So insightful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kishor, for joining the Modern Wealth podcast. I really appreciate it so much, dude. Just to end off everything, how can people find out more about your VC? Where can they find for information? How can they find more about you?
So Resh, we do have webinars where the community can join and they can learn, and if they're interested, they can participate in projects which we bring to them, and that's I would say the easiest way, because our webinars are free, right? So they can just join, and then we basically
is there a particular place
them.
they can find for these webinars?
So we usually have it on our website. Okay. They come to crowdfundjunction.com.
Crowdfundjunction.com.
Yeah, or MadForNFTs.
Okay.
And we have an academy, so they can just click on it, and usually we announce the date of our webinars, and they can just join. And if they're interested, then obviously we are here to help them start this journey of I would say investing in along with VCs.
Fantastic. Beautiful. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you follow Kishor on his journey, and I will see you guys again on the next episode. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.